We're on the Thursday evening before yet another Auburn football game. Game 2 is on tap for you. Auburn versus Cal, the rematch from last year, revenge for Cal, or completion, a sweep for Auburn. All that's up in the air. Let's talk about the stats, the predictions on scores, and so much more before this game happens. Well, War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. We appreciate you joining us, hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family, as is typically the case. We like to get together before football games on Thursday evenings to talk about a preview, a prediction show, all about the different things that we can prognosticate about what may happen out on the football field in the coming days, which only 2 days away from, well, less than 2 days technically from the time of us doing this live stream. So we hope that you'll join in, especially those of you that are watching live. This is an interactive show. We'd also love to see feedback from those of you that watch the replay as well. So please do join in however you're getting here, whenever you're getting here. You can start off by letting us know that you were watching live or whatever with a War Eagle. Tell us where you're checking in from. And please do start off by smashing the like button if you enjoy this type of content. It's a huge help to all of us. Lets people know that we're live, lets them know that they should join in on the conversation. So that is something that you can do for us right away. What can you expect tonight on the show? Again, it's our second time doing one of these. So we're kind of getting our routine down for the most part with how this is going to roll. But this is a prediction show. We will get to the score predictions. Please, 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 for those of you on the live, hold your score predictions to the end because we're going to ask for them. But we're also going to try to help you have a more well-rounded approach to your score predictions by walking you through some of the scenarios that may or may not happen. Predictions on who's going to get this stat, what may happen at this point of the game. There may be some information that you may not be aware of, and that may affect your score prediction. All of these things are fair game this evening. So save that for when we ask for it. We're going to start off by giving you a preview of the game. We'll bring up some stuff on screen just to kind of talk through some of the cool things around this matchup, around the game itself, even outside of the opponent. We'll definitely look at depth charts. We will look at stats from previous games, although it's nice this week to have one game for each team to look at. It's still just one game. So keep that in mind in some of your discussions and what you're thinking about for predictions in general, but for score predictions as well. Once we're done with all of that, we will move into our predictions portion of the show, usually about 20 or so minutes into that. And we will walk through some scenarios offensively, defensively, even special teams. And this is where we'll want the interaction from you guys. So be ready for that. And we'll walk our way down to you all giving score predictions and me as well. So without further ado, would like to say hello to those of you watching live. Some of you have been checking in throughout the first part of the show. Thank you guys so much for being here. So many people checking in from so many great places among the Auburn family. Feel free to bring up comments throughout the show. If they're appropriate to what we're talking about at the time, I may bring them up, but we'll definitely have a lot more interaction when we get to the predictions part of the show. With that in mind, let me begin to switch things around for you here in the back half of the studio so that we can get everything nice and lined up and prepared for what we want to discuss with you all first today. So I've got it switched around correctly. You will see me finally looking in the direction of the monitor. The monitor was here last week, and the paper or the PDF was on the other side of the screen, and I know it looked really stupid, so we fixed it. So we're making strides every week to be a little bit more proficient in this. What we're going to be looking at is Auburn's media guide for the week. I've got some stuff highlighted that I would like to bring up for all of you so that we can talk through a few of those things, point out some interesting things. If there's anything that you guys see of note on there as we slowly move through some of that, I think it's a pretty good, you should be able to see most of that stuff. And that's why I highlighted some of it, just to kind of things of note for you to look at. A couple pages for Auburn. We'll look at the depth chart as well for Cal that they released coming up here in just a little bit. So some interesting things to look at in, in all that. I just noticed WT's If you haven't been here for a while, you'll not know about the ghost that's been haunting us here. That's like a shadow that comes across my shoulder just randomly, and there's no explanation for it whatsoever. Don't distract me, WT. We got stuff to do tonight. All right. 5 minutes in the show. Let's get going here. Let's look at this stuff together. All right. Obviously, we know our opponent is Cal. This is game 2 of a 2-game home and home shared series. The result last year, we know 14-10, Auburn won in a very interesting late night, frustrating game. This one's held on September 7th, 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN2. So all of you that were very upset and made it very clear about your feelings about ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus, all of that, you do not have to worry anymore. ESPN2 should, operative term there, should be on your list of things to see. You can also obviously take a look for places to get the game in terms of if you look on the list down there, it'll show you the radio stations and things like that. Obviously, Auburn leads 1-0 in this series because the first game was played last year. So we'll know either this thing's going to be evened up or Auburn will take a commanding 2-0 lead in the series for this particular game. Nobody is ranked at this moment. Rightfully so. Both teams are kind of trying to find themselves right now. I would say probably objectively, well, subjectively, Auburn, outside looking in, Auburn seems to be on a more rapid trend upward than Cal does right now. Similar stories. Hugh Freeze is now 7-7 in his record at Auburn, 500. Let's get him over the 500 into the positive category and keep him there for the time being. Which would be a nice thing to see. It's the whiteout game. I am wearing a gymnastic shirt with a gray tone just to kind of somewhat look like it tonight. I don't have any white Auburn football shirts, but it's the whiteout game. They'll also be honoring the men's track and field runner-up, folks. Most of y'all didn't know this. We almost had a national champ. I think it was 2 points, a point away from a national championship in men's track and field last year. How many of y'all knew that? You did if you watched this show. They'll be honored. So will the swimming and diving team for 2004. In this game. We talked about the series lead and what happened last year. Auburn has an overall record against current members of the Atlantic Coast Conference. You heard me right. I know we're talking about Cal. I understand. I'm frustrated about it too. But 123 wins, 83 losses, and 9 ties to the ACC, 593 overall percentage of winning against them. You see all those teams listed on there that we've beaten. Auburn's last meeting with an ACC team was a 14-6 loss to Clemson. I didn't realize, first of all, that it had been that long since we saw an ACC team. This really should be a Pac-10 or 12, whatever discussion, but I digress. You can see some other stats I've highlighted there as well. Things about us, how good we are in the month of August. 5-0 all time in games played on September 7th. These are things that really aren't that important to the matchup, but they're just cool, interesting notes that I thought maybe some of you would find interesting about the game itself, where we're sitting at overall, just to keep in mind with all of that. Okay. This is about the last game, but 94 Tigers saw action, 47 of them for the very first time. So quite the new foundation that Auburn has laid. And of course, we all know that we hit 800 all-time wins, 13th FBS program to do so. 5 Tigers caught a touchdown. Will 5 more, or the same 5 all get one in this game? We sure hope so. And that 70-point win for Auburn over Alabama A&M broke an old record margin of 66 set against Chattanooga in 1995. And then ULM in 2003 with that 73 mark that we were trying to break. 6 touchdown passes against Alabama A&M set a single Auburn game record. So quite the thing here. All right, so this is your depth chart for Auburn football. I guess I should bring it up over here. I'm looking at it on my screen at least. So here's your depth chart. Not really a lot of changes that I was aware of, but I've got some things highlighted here that I want to point out. Obviously, anybody can start on defense, according to the coaches. Sam Jackson is obviously a player of note, him being the quarterback that gave us so much trouble last year. Thankfully, he's a wide receiver for us now and already scored a touchdown. But that will be the interesting storyline to cover from our depth chart in relation to theirs. Tyler Johnson has really come along in fall practice, and that's why he's listed as a co-starter at left tackle with Percy Lewis. And I think the way they explained is they're going to find a way to put Tyler out there the way he's performing, not necessarily in lieu of Percy Lewis being out. So many puns with names tonight. I promise I'm not intending to do that. But there's your depth chart for a quick look at that. A couple other things to look at and take note of if you're interested in what happened last time. We won't go through all of these things, but just want to make sure that you're having as much information about Auburn, Cal, our matchup, our very limited history. You see how the scoring went down last year. Auburn scoring on that last few minutes, several minutes, 6 minutes in left. Fair weather 5-yard pass from Thorne. What a pass it was too, after a very frustrating offensive day. How many first downs were scored, all that good stuff. There's tons of stuff here. And you can even look on that page. It compares the stats of this year currently, Auburn to California. Normally, I would say that we are looking a lot more at this later in the year. It's just one game. Yes, we both played teams that aren't that great and took care of business. So these numbers are a little bit skewed, heavily so in the favor of Auburn, just down in that right-hand corner of the document. But just something to look at and keep in mind. I think we have one more slide. We do career stats versus California. Again, this is a little bit skewed just because it's just, you know what happened. It's the one game, but I'm a completionist and I did not want you all to not have the information tonight to walk through and look at. We did get a note here from WT about our depth chart. I guess I could go back to that really quickly. It has McPherson as a starter. Is he back? I believe he was listed as a starter last week because he's on a timeline of unknown origin, of unknown longevity. If he's feeling good, the coaches feel good about him, he gets the clearance from the doctors, I think he'll be back. And you want to give Towns the honor of being a co-starter. Obviously, there's a lot of co-starters on Auburn's offense and defense and special teams, but mainly the defense. All right, here is Cal's depth chart. Again, I have not looked at this very thoroughly, but I think, yes, it should be highlighted for you all a little bit. Some players to keep in mind. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza. I can tell you from at least playing the game, but also having the simulation this week, the guy to keep an eye on. Jaden Ott, will he play? The running back that gave us so many problems last year. It's been a conversation. As last I heard, he was listed as probable as their starting running back. And then the numbers for the defensive guys that Coach Hugh Freeze has repeated all throughout the week, 44 and 7, who I've highlighted. Xavier Carlton, David Reese, outside linebackers, to look 6'6" and 6'2". Quite the beast on the edge right there. So offensively, defensively, some guys to keep in mind. Apparently, if you have not, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you go watch our other side conversation with Thomas Dunn of Right for Cal, and he gave us some great perspectives out there about this team. So go and check him out. It may help you in your score predictions if you have not done so. It was a great conversation. So there's your depth chart for that. Let's see. We have walked through general info about the game, the depth charts. The last game, and we can go ahead and bring up let me make sure I'm doing this right, getting all my ducks in a row here. We're going to bring our screen up here for the ESPN matchup and utilize this to have a little discussion about everything. Here we go. So I can't, obviously, if there's ads and stuff on here, it's not our stuff, it's their stuff. So I apologize in advance. We're just trying to give you the information we can. Their last game was against UC Davis, and we'll go ahead and scroll down since we wanted to talk about that. 31-13. Obviously, similar situation to us, somebody who's not even FBS level. You want to take care of business. They did. Obviously, we have a pretty wide margin compared to theirs in our last opponent, but we were, what can we say? But there you go. There's the last two games for the Tigers. Right now, your line, for those of you that care about the betting stuff, but just interesting note to talk about, is currently, as of us doing this stream on a Thursday evening before the game, 13.5 in Auburn's favor. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Is that too wide? Is that wide enough of a margin for Auburn? only time will tell. The percentage of people on the predictor on ESPN are clearly in Auburn's favor on that. And I think that echoes a lot of people's sentiments across Auburn and Cal fandom for the most part. If you look on our page here, you'll see your passing leaders, your rushing leaders. Some of these we've already talked about, receiving leaders. We know Thorne, we know Hunter, and Malcolm Simmons technically is our leading receiver at this point, even though he doesn't have his image up on ESPN, which is funny. But Mendoza, there you go. 15 for 22, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. Jaden Ott, who got injured in this game, which is why he's, well, probable, but some question about him in this game. 14 carries, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then your receiver, for their leading receiver, is a freshman as well, 4 receptions, 47 yards, and 1 touchdown. So when you look at Auburn's game versus Cal's game, clearly Auburn looks a lot better overall than Cal does, but not that Cal looks bad based on their first opponent. It really is just a matter of how do you compare the two. I have no clue how UC Davis looks this year. Maybe they are a way more formidable opponent until way more formidable opponent than Alabama A&M. I don't know. We won't have the opportunity to play them this year. So that should give you all the information that you basically need at this time. A lot of it is just speculating and discussing the higher points, but we will definitely do our best from this point forward to be more educated now, because we've talked about all these things. We thought about some of these things and gotten to the point where we're ready, I hope, to be able to do some predictions. Look, under 20 minutes. We got you the information in under 20 minutes tonight. So again, let me give you a reminder here. Please hold your predictions, your score predictions, until we ask for them at the very end for those of you who are on the live. Help us out by participating. Let's go ahead and practice right now. Do you think Auburn will win the game? No score predictions, yes or no. Just type yes or no in the chat so you can get used to the momentum of everything, how this functions. Just a overall yes or no. Does Auburn win the game? I know that's kind of burying the lead a little bit, but obviously we want to know from you guys what you think and get you guys used to doing that. I don't know if Stan is being funny. Says DirecTV dropped ESPN. Is that true? Don't get people stirred up. And we've got some other people who are on these formats to watch the game. While you guys are typing that, Chris said, is Cal ready for Jordan-Hare? I don't know that they've experienced anything like Jordan-Hare. I don't know where Cal has visited recently. And when I say recently, in past years, to compare to Jordan-Hare. The weather is supposed to be amazing. We didn't talk about that, and I should have brought that up. I think it was on the sheet. That fact that is going to be a high of like 82 or something like that at max, and sunny after a rainstorm all night and all day tomorrow. They got lucky. It might be a little bit humid because of the rain, but it ain't going to be like it was last week, which I'm thankful for. But there you go. All right. Looks like all of you are practiced up. We got tons of yeses from across the board. I don't know if we have any Cal fans tonight watching, but yeah. Final note on the ghost. Y'all got to stop talking about the ghost. Did I have an exorcism? I don't see Casper. We've had one sighting of him at this point. Andrew, are you a Cal fan, or are you just an Auburn fan and you're just assuming that Autzen, who he's talking about, is Oregon, Autzen Stadium? I would imagine the Coliseum, right? That's where USC plays, right? LA Coliseum. And then UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl. Do I have that right? I would imagine those have very formidable environments. I would imagine Washington does as well. So they've experienced recently in their former conference places that are probably comparable to the intensity range that you can get to. But a Auburn team an Auburn fan base with a new life and a new interest and a new hope. I don't know that they're exactly compared to that. All right, let's do predictions. We are going to go through offense. We're going to go through defense. We're going to go through special teams. And finally, our scores. If you have to leave early, you're more than welcome to share it, but don't get the rest of everybody else stirred up. We're going to save it till the end. Let's start with offense. And these are the things that I want to ask you and I want feedback on in the chat right now. Your first question is, in this game, Auburn versus Cal 2024, how many passing yards and how many touchdowns will you predict for Auburn? How many passing yards and passing touchdowns do you predict for Auburn? I'm going to bring up the stats from last game, if I can do it without getting distracted here while you guys are typing as well and thinking about that. I think it was 600 total yards overall. Yep. Passing yards in the game versus Alabama A&M, 451. 451. 6 passing touchdowns. Incredible. I hope you all realize we will not see what we saw Saturday in that regard. So I hope, and it seems like most of you recognize we will not be hitting the 400 mark, most likely. If we do, sign him up for the Heisman. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we got some predictions coming in from everybody. 250, 3 touchdowns. There you go. I won't read off all of them, but I'll bring them up if there's anything that I find interesting, such as Roberts, 380, pushing close, and 4 touchdowns, pushing close to that 400 mark. I think we also need to be prepared that if the game is close, if the game is close, that we will only see one quarterback. The goal is to take care of business and get ahead of these guys and be able to play some of our people, our second string, especially like Hank Brown, to get him some more legitimate time against more formidable opponents. When I say, I know I'm saying formidable opponents, and we're hoping that we're going to pull away so we can do that. But this is a different talent stack and talent level. I'm going to predict that Auburn will hit 305 yards and 3 passing touchdowns in this game. That is what I will go with. And it seems like I'm on the lower end of a lot of you guys, but I'm slowly working my way up to believing this team can pull that off. All right, next one. How many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns will Auburn have in this game? How many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns will Auburn have in this game? That's all we're predicting at this moment. That's all we need from you guys. Don't jump ahead. We want to know how many rushing yards and touchdowns Auburn will have versus Cal. What are your predictions? Now, think about this. We've got a room of running backs that are very talented, can do a lot of things. We also we are down a man with the loss of Brian Battie from being able to participate this year. So there's that part of it as well. But you're also going to want to show that you can produce a running game. So I get the feeling that we're going to see a more potent running game in this game, but how potent as compared to the passing game. Auburn fans would just love it to no end if we have a just outstanding run game. Let's see some of y'all's predictions coming down the pipe. 61 touchdown, very low expectations, still pretty low expectations there. A few on the higher end coming through from you all. I like that. I'm kind of sitting where Bryant's at a little bit, making up my mind here. Can y'all tell that I'm cheating a little bit by going with what y'all saying and then kind of finding my way either in the middle somewhere? It probably is. You could view it that way, but I truly like to see where people's heads at and find where I can make peace with on the high end, low end, or in the middle. Corey says he's a fan of the air raid. Well, I think you're closer to that than you've ever been. But I'm going to predict that Auburn will have one rushing touchdown, and we'll have 200 rushing yards. So, if you can tell where I'm sitting at, in my opinion of that, one rushing touchdown, and I think it'll be Jarquez. And I think, we'll get there, but I think, yeah, let's just leave it at that for this moment. All right, this is an important aspect of trying to touchdowns, 150. Wow, rushing is that rushing touchdowns, Latrell? We're on rushing only right now, so that's all. If that's hey, I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday. Your next question that I want to know from you all. This is an important aspect of this. And I think we only allowed, let me, before I say it, find the stat for us. If it is even on here. Dun, dun, dun. I'm looking for sacks and I don't see it. All right. How many sacks will Auburn's offensive line, or just Auburn, allow in this game? Not their, like, how many will they allow the offensive line, our offensive line, on our quarterbacks? Or how many will Peyton run into, or whoever run into? How many sacks are going to happen in this game? That's an important aspect to this, because those are drive crushers. Those are momentum crushers and can really affect your scoring ability. I think we had one in this game, and I don't know that it was against Peyton. Cannot find it on the ESPN stats that I have listed over here. If I was smart, I would have had that prepared. 3 sacks, 1. Okay, we're kind of a range from 0 to 3 right now. Hopefully none. So a hope and a wish, giving us a legit prediction there. I think we're all hoping for none, but I think we're going to face a little bit more. 2.5, a half a sack. I think we're all recognizing, though, that this is a formidable opponent, or a more formidable opponent. And as we talked about in the preview portion of the show, you got to worry about those edge rushers in number 44 and number 7. Freeze has talked about them all week. I am going to predict that Auburn's going to give up at least 3 sacks in this game, because that's all I've heard talk about. Now, if I remember correctly, Thomas from Right for Cal discussed, when we were talked about and I asked him about these guys, said, they produce some pretty good highlights, but they got to do it consistently. So there is that, but we've seen them do it against us once before. And we know that they're going to have a strong performance in some areas. So I wonder if this is one of those areas where they might. So I'm going to predict 3 sacks in this game, which is not a lot, but those will be drive killers, momentum killers. Will it keep them in the game? It might. I don't know. All right, next one. How many turnovers will Auburn have in this game on offense? How many interceptions will be thrown by us? How many fumbles will be given up? We had 2 at the end of the game that kept us from passing our scoring record. So, not frustrated, not bitter. How many turnovers will Auburn have in this game? 2 last game. I think we all predicted 2, an interception and a fumble, last go around as a collective, not individuals, but as a collective. So, what do you all say? Here's some predictions rolling through. A lot of people expect 0. 2 INTs, getting a little bit more specific, and 1 fumble. I think 1 interception is going to be thrown. I'm just, maybe I'm speaking about it just to like speak it out there into existence. So like it becomes a non-self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know. I know that's stupid, but I am what I am, and I is what I is. If it works, it works, I guess. I'll say we throw an interception and we have 1 fumble, but I do think that fumble is going to come late again, like it did in this game, hopefully when the game is mostly in hand. I'm hoping we found ourselves somewhere into like a 2 touchdown margin or close to that, and we've stupidly given up a fumble. I'm not hoping for this. I'm just thinking it might happen, and allowed them a chance to get back within a score, or a score and a field goal. I don't know. Just playing it out in my head. All right. This is your next prediction for the group. Who is going to be the top rusher for Auburn. Last week, this was up in the air because we were playing against an opponent where we expected and hoped we'd get to see a lot more of certain other running backs. Does that change your opinion who we're playing this week? Would you think the same way, thinking we'd be able to handle them and get some more time? Or is it as simple as your RB1, who got 47? What was it? 53 carries on 53 yards on 4 carries. So great percentage and 1 touchdown. Boy, his athleticism was great. I think this is a pretty easy answer this week. I think, and it might be easy most of the year, but it's definitely going to be Hunter. You know, I continue to talk about the lack of having Brian Battie here has changed the dynamic of this room. And I don't mean that they're not going to be as proficient or anything, but I think it's drastically changed the dynamic in some ways. So that one was, I'd say Hunter as well. Who, we got a prediction, full prediction from Thomas on Mr. Hunter. All right, your next one, your next prediction. This is going to be the fun one where there's lots of opportunities. Who will be Auburn's best receiver or top receiver in this game? However you want to quantify that. If you want to qualify it off of most receptions, most yards, most touchdowns, tell me who you think will be considered at the end of the night Auburn's top wide receiver. Start off the game, it appeared, and it still could have been Lambert Smith. Then we saw Cam Coleman. Then we saw Perry Thompson. And then we saw Malcolm Simmons get in the mix. We saw Sam Jackson get into the mix. So many other people. Who is going to be Auburn's top receiver? And this can include tight ends if you want it to. I want to bring up that, and I meant to post this on a reel earlier this week on social media. The interview with Rivaldo Fairweather openly talking about his 2 drops and how he said, he flat out said, y'all will not see that happen again from me. I love that mentality. I love that responsibility taking. So is this his breakout game? It was. Well, he was the guy who won the game for us at the end of that one. Here are y'all's predictions, which vary across. Jackson, I think Stan wants the smoke for Cal to have to face their former person, and he is the one that beats them. Wouldn't that be fun? And wouldn't that be funny? I'm going to say, I want to say Rivaldo just because I love that mentality and I love what he said this week. I'm going to say KLS, Keandre Lambert Smith. I think he's going to be the guy that we go to. He's the most secure. He's the most surefire thing that we've seen on this wide receiver room as far as a transfer in quite some time. So I'm going to go Keandre Lambert Smith. It's probably the boring answer, but it might be the right one. Okay. All right. So that's all of our offensive things. If you guys ever want to give me feedback about some other predictions you'd like to make in that area or swap things around, let me know. I think that top rusher one will be a little bit easy, but you never know. Things might change throughout the season. Let's talk about defense. Important aspect of the game. Let's do predictions for that. Now, I will give you some information. I need to pull it up while we're doing that. I'll give you some things to think about when we're giving you scenarios for how Auburn will perform defensively. Remember, this time they're at home, and remember last time, they are pretty much what won the game for us. Without them in that game, we are coming away with a loss out there in Berkeley. So as I almost get to where I need to be Stan, don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. We'll do special teams. What are you doing? Come on, Stan. You've been here long enough. Unless you got to go somewhere. I understand if you do. But don't jump ahead of us too quickly, my friend. I'm trying to get you all the stats for the Cal thing. It's taken a lot longer than I normally would. Team stats. Come on, guys. Why are we not? There's the team stats. Okay, here we go. All right, the first thing on defense that I want to know, mirroring what we just did, how many passing yards and touchdowns will Auburn's defense allow in this game. In Jordan-Hare against Cal. Mendoza is your quarterback. Looks like, at least from the last game, one of their freshmen is the guy to watch out for. A lot of new people on offense, I believe, is what I was told by our friends at Write for Cal. But how many passing yards and touchdowns will Auburn give up on defense in this game? I think if you look at it on the surface, a lot of people are not going to expect a lot out of that. They're passing 18 for 28 so far, 179, 6.4 yards per attempt, one passing touchdown. They've allowed one sack, if that helps you in your decision making about that. 200, 2 touchdowns, 222. So far, a lot of people are expecting, a lot of you expect 2 touchdowns, or at least them to get close to 200 yards. I think our conversation here hinges a lot upon that key player being out or not playing 100%. On the other aspect of the game we'll talk about in a second. I'm going to assume that he's playing and that he'll at least be capable of doing something. But I do think that they're going to have to be careful with him. So they're going to have to rely on passing in this game. I think they break 200 yards. I'm going to say 215. And this is painful. I'm going to say 215 and 1 passing touchdown. I think they'll get 1 off. I think I pulled everybody else's up prediction there. Your next thing, you take this next scenario however you'd like to. How many rushing yards and touchdowns will Auburn give up to Cal in Jordan-Hare for this second game in the series with them? I'm going to assume Jaden Ott's going to play. And I'm going to assume that he is going to be well enough to do something in this game. Thomas, that's a good. That's out. Send me that in the Conquer Club as a private message, just so I can have it, a record that you said. I'll lose track of it here, but that's a good suggestion. I'll think about adding that in. That may be like a number of penalties, maybe like a under special teams in the future. That's a good one. All right, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. I'm assuming Jaden Ott's going to be there. Okay, not a lot of respect for the running game. Not a lot of respect. I think a lot of people seem to, I don't know if that's coming from a place of expecting a lot out of our rushers, out of our front line, front 7, or if that's coming from a place of not expecting Jaden Ott to play. All right, here, let's do another real quick one. Yes or no, does Jaden Ott play in this game? Yes or no? What do you think your prediction is? Just do another quick one real quick while I think about what I want to say here. I will say that we give up 115 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. I think they'll break 100, but I think it'll be a struggle for them all night. A lot of you said yes. He will, but probably won't start. Yes, plays. Yes. There was 1 no, I think. Yeah, Corey says no. Corey doesn't think he will. Okay, there you go. I was wondering what everybody's opinions were on that. Kind of informed what you guys were guessing in the other way. All right, let's keep moving forward in defense. Who is going to be Auburn's top tackler in this game? Who gets the most tackles for Auburn football in this game? I believe it was, I know Robert Woodyard was pretty high up there. If I'm not mistaken, it was McLeod. That might be your easy answer. Probably is. If we shut down the run game, like I think we could be capable of, I think it's going to be someone from the front 7. But if they start slinging the ball around and show a little bit more propensity to be able to do that, then maybe it's going to be one of our defensive backs. I think if it's somebody like a Champ Anthony, I'm not as worried about if he's the leading tackler because he can come up and fly up and make some noise. But I'm really hoping it's going to be somebody from the front 7 or 6 or however many is going to be out there. A couple of y'all's predictions are rolling in. Falk, just lockdown D. Asante. Is it Mousy? Is it Mousy Jr.? I don't know how to pronounce it. Or Asante. A lot of people are high on Asante and McLeod. Got to pick one, guys. Not one of the, not ors, one. Linebacker. Pick one in your predictions. Gotta commit to something. Commit to it. I am going to predict Keldrick Falk, and I think I picked him last game, and I forget where. Mausi. Okay, so I was saying it right. Mausi earlier, or I was saying it when I first started talking about him, but yeah. Asante. Okay. I think it's going to be Keldrick Falk. That's who I think it's going to be. And if you guys ever, just as a quick note, because I'm seeing somebody's response come in a little bit late. If you are ever seeing that come in a little bit late, do refresh your stream and it'll catch you back up in chat. Sometimes if it cuts in on a commercial and stuff like that, it'll put you a little bit behind. D1 Obby, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for being here, joining on the prediction show. We're making predictions about scenarios and stuff. We're getting towards our score predictions. Hold it right now. Getting close. All right. This is your last category. And this one, I haven't really figured out how I should break it down, but I just ask however you would like to express your, Brian, you're good. I just see that the one came up a little bit late, but I just wanted to give you that heads up in case it ever, you're good. I think you obviously knew I was talking about you in that one. Let's see here. How many sacks, fumbles, and interceptions will Auburn defense have against Cal? How many sacks, fumbles, and interceptions? I ask it all together because we spread that out a couple times last year, and it just, people didn't seem to have much interest of talking about it individually. So you give me your perspective. How many sacks, how many fumbles, how many interceptions? Try to answer it maybe in that order too, so you can keep it straight. Sacks, fumbles, interceptions. And we're talking about recovered fumbles. Or if you want to break it out and give me your clarification of 2 cause, 3 cause, 2 recovered, whatever you want to say. Watching at school. What you doing at school? Right there. Corey says, how many defensive touchdowns? Is that one you want added, Corey, to the list? If you want that one, give me a direct message on Conquer Club so I can see if we want to add that in. I mean, that'd probably be a good one too. And I think we may have had that at one point. All right, we got 3-1-2, 3-2-2, 4 sacks, 1 fumble, interception. There you go. So there's everybody else's predictions. A lot more. You guys are very interactive tonight. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. Chris thinks this defense is going to show out in this game. CDL school. Okay, gotcha. Hope it's going well. Should you be watching us right now? But thank you for being here. I am going to predict that Auburn gets 3 sacks in this game and that they cause 2 fumbles, recover 1, and get 1 interception. So technically it's 1. So I would say 3, 1, and 1 is what Auburn does. So they're going to basically remove 2 scoring opportunities from Cal in this game. Couple that with our fans, our experience that they're going to have being in Jordan here, even though it's not a night game. I think it's going to make it very challenging for their offense to be able to keep up and put the pressure on them to respond. Y'all's comments distract me so much. All right, let's do special teams. How many punts does Auburn have in this game? How many punts does Auburn have in this game? What do you guys think? Definitely going to play a huge role. How many punts does Auburn have in this game? Wow, Thomas. Remember, the amount of punts we have is going to be indicative of how much the offense is struggling. A lot of you are assuming. Is that a lot for a lot of you guys? think five's a lot. Technically, you could count this as a offensive category if you wanted to, because it means the offense is stalling out. I do think Auburn's going to have to punt at least 4 times, and here I am acting like 5's a ton more than that, but I do think it'll be slow going to start the game. Maybe we don't score for the first time until late in the first quarter, but I do think it's going to cause Oscar Chapman to have to show the wonder from down under a little bit more in this game for his average. The wonder from down under. All right, your next question. We're almost there, folks, to the big one where I know you guys want to be. How many field goals attempted and made in this game versus Cal? Towns is still the guy, it sounds like, based on what we've heard up to this point, meaning that Alex McPherson is not back quite yet. Coach Freeze did say that during practice, I think it was last week, but that he seemed a little bit more jittery. But he even noted that it's like the kid goes out there under lights and then around a crowd and it doesn't matter. So I think we're fine with Towns out there. He's shown that more than enough. But what do you think? How many are we going to be attempting? How many do you think we're going to make? Are we going to be 100%? It's a key factor in all of this. Try to think about this in terms of your score as well when you're predicting these things. I think we will have to attempt 2. And I'm going to predict that we are 1 of 2. I predicted this last week, not because I don't have faith in Towns, but as a former kicker and the pressure that is on the kicker, even if you thrive in that, you just never know until something goes just a little bit wrong. So I'm going to predict we go 1 and 2, attempt 2. And I think that last one is going to be a miss later in the game. Hopefully not one where we need to pull away a little bit there. I have faith in Mr. Magoo. So makes them all. A lot of you are probably not are upset with me for even predicting that, but hey, it's my opinion. All right. How I don't know that we asked this last week. Maybe we did. Let's ask it now. How many punt returns, kick returns go back for a touchdown? It's not something that happens a whole lot. And I phrased it in my list here as any punt or kick returns. Maybe that's the way we should ask it. Will Auburn have a punt or a kick return? Or you can just say the number for a touchdown in this game. I got a feeling that Keontae Scott is going to bust one loose this year. I think Freeze is determined since he's risking him out there. But I think these are those type of things that's a backbreaker if it happens. If Auburn runs one of these, I'm going to say no. But if Auburn runs one of those back, I'm going to say like a punt return. That's a backbreaker on the road. Robert's got the right idea in the SEC environment, especially if you're the visiting team in Jordan-Hare. Okay. Would rock if we did. We had it this week if he didn't step out of bounds. I'd love to see the actual footage. I don't know if you guys on TV had a better view of it, but yeah, there you go. Not this game, though, is what people are saying. I think someone asked, how many penalties does Auburn have in this game? Let's do that. Let's do that as a final. It kind of falls under special teams, even though it affects both sides. How many penalties will Auburn have against itself? And if you want to add on top of that, how many yards? If you guys will send me notes in the things that y'all suggested in the Cocker Club, those of you that are part of it, that will be very helpful for me to update my list. We'll add it to it. How many penalties will Auburn have? 6. Thomas is pretty high on like punts and penalties tonight. So that's probably means we got over 50 at least penalty yards in your mind. Maybe I could see us being a little bit more sloppy in this game. Chris has got 45 yards on top of that. I could see us getting 1 false start, 1 offsides, 1 pass interference. and probably something stupid like illegal formation or something like that. And a block in the back. So I'm going to say 5 penalties, probably for over 50 yards. Cal is going to a silent count, according to the QB. Ooh. Probably need to be in this game. Probably need to be. All right, folks, we have arrived. We're at 50 minutes. That's a good marker. Let's do it. We have talked about offense. We have talked about special teams and defense. We've talked about previews for the game, significance around it. Last year, this year, current games, all the things. Let me know right now, what is your score prediction? Auburn versus Cal. For frame of reference, our computer competition on College Football 25 said 17-11. Auburn wins. I'm getting the impression running some of these that the computer is not as generous as real life may be sometimes. If I remember back, I predicted 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown for us, and 1 field goal. So I'm going to stick with that. So 4 touchdowns and a field goal. So that's 31. I think Auburn can reach 31. I predicted 2 touchdowns for Cal. We don't think we talked about field goals. Maybe that's something we should add, like for them. I think Auburn's going to win 31-14. 31-14. That will be my score. 31-14. 2 touchdowns. No, yes, more than 2 touchdowns to win. So let's see some of y'all's predictions. That's funny, as long as we don't get a targeting call. 38-24, 44-17, 45-14. There you go. 21-10 at the half, 34-17 final. Very close to what I said. Also close. Looks like most people think we're getting a minimum of 30 points. I think everybody has said that so far. I think we've gotten everybody here. 56-17. BVK just said, forget that. We're going into the 50s. Unfortunately, my simulation had Cal winning. I'm calling bias. You never know. Could be the complete opposite of what we're predicting here. Corey says, after seeing the performance Cal gave last week, Auburn will beat the brakes off of Cal. Cal will not be able to contain our receivers. 56-10. I don't think I put yours up there. All right. You can, if you haven't given us yours yet, feel free to. But with the last few minutes of our show, it's just open Q&A time. Things that you may want to talk about around this game. That's where our focus is tonight anyway. We've covered a lot of different things, and thank you guys so much for your interest and your participation tonight. I hope that you can join us. We plan to do these most, if not all, Thursday nights when there's a game. Bye weeks, we will certainly take the night off because we'll need it. I'll need it. But I hope that you guys can come back every single week. I love the interaction. I love doing this show with you guys. It's very fun. So as long as I'm able, we will continue to do that. All right. Keep your comments and questions coming, or anything that you'd like to talk about around this game, the matchup, Cal, anything like that. If you guys have feedback from our episode with Right for Cal, that's always good to hear as well. A couple of reminders for you while you're thinking about some of those things about what you can expect. Keep in mind, I'm heading to Auburn tomorrow. So tons of content is going to be coming from us, from campus. And most of you know the drill. To be following everywhere so you don't miss anything. But here are some schedule things to keep in mind for the weekend, things that we know we'll be attempting. Our live stream of Tiger Walk. Those of you that love it, we do it for here on YouTube. We will post the replay on Facebook as soon as we can, which will probably be the next day. Well, actually, I could probably do it that evening because it won't be late, and I won't be sleepy like I was last week. But live stream on YouTube. Join us live for that. Had a great crowd, great response for that. It makes me want to keep doing this for you guys. Please, if you're not able to come to the game, hang out with us at Tiger Walk, join us on that live stream. Post-game show, similar to what we do here, just a little bit more open and free. And we walk through some stats that we saw. If it's bad, we'll have therapy. If it's good, we'll have celebration. If it's so good, like last week, that we're just shocked and in awe, certainly we'll try to figure out what just happened. And this Sunday, unless something doesn't happen, we will be back in the saddle officially this time for episode 92 of the Auburn Experience podcast, where we'll talk about, obviously, second game weekend. We talk about the game, but we focus on the whole weekend. And then we're going to probably, in our next big topic, our second big topic, is focus on Auburn basketball's non-conference schedule they just released and essentially their full schedule. And we'll obviously cover other things in Auburn potpourri that happened throughout the week and leading up to that show. So what else would you guys like to talk about other than the ghost? I suggest we call the ghost the Auburn Spirit. That's what I'm fine with that. It's a lot better than War Dustbuster. I'll tell you that much. I'd love that to become a thing over the other thing. Get Austin on one of these. I will do my best, Stan. Austin is the father to two very, I'm sure, rambunctious twins, boys. And that keeps him, and he has a full-time job that he does there in Auburn. And I know that, especially on weeknights, either keeps him busy / has him very, very tired. So we are lucky to have Austin here as much as we can on Sundays. I think one day in the future, if you guys continue to help us grow and do things bigger and better over the years, as long as I can keep doing this, and we get some major sponsors, you never know, we might convince Austin to do this full time with us. Might even have a little bit of a studio in Auburn or something. Believe it or not, there have been thoughts and conversations about that. It's just time, finances, all those different things. Anyway, it's not about the game. David says, Janet? Huh? What are we talking about? Is this like the name for the spirit of Auburn, the ghost of Auburn? Is anybody worried at all about Cal? Because the impression that I get is there is nobody concerned at all about this game. Like, legitimately, I'm just curious, does anybody have any legitimate concerns about Cal, about Jaden Ott, about some of their defenders that Freeze has pointed out, about how it went last year? Is it truly just the fact that we were with an offensive scheme we didn't need to be in, and it got exposed that early, and somehow we made it out with a win? What do you think? Oh, you saw a friend. So somebody in the Facebook chat. Okay. That was like, what happened here? Anyway, zero, no worries. Zero. I'm always concerned at every game. If you're an Auburn fan, you should have some concern. Who's Cal? Cough, cough. Unbeaten Lake says a bit. Cal did come to Ole Miss in 20. I thought they had played someone in the SEC recently in 2019 and beat them at 11 a.m. Well, it's not late at night where they've had some success against us. And it's not in the morning where Auburn seems to have some type of voodoo on themselves. Then maybe we have nothing to be worried about. It's in the middle of the afternoon. Folks, let me just tell you, we are blessed and highly favored. I know that we wanted to give Cal a little bit of taste of Alabama heat and humidity. But you say that, and you're probably not up in the stands with us. I am looking forward to this. I know it's still going to be on the warmer side, especially up there in the upper deck in the sun. But look, come on. 83, I think, is what the kickoff temperature was listed at. Let's see if I can get back to it or not. Lots of clicking, sorry. I think ESPN posts the game time temp. I could be wrong. It doesn't. But anyway, it looks like it's going to be a lovely, lovely weekend. I kind of wish, and I think the temperature is supposed to be comparable, maybe a little bit warmer for homecoming weekend, because that one always feels like it's just a touch too warm to be having homecoming. And I really hope that it'll carry over to that. All right, we are just about at an hour, so I think we will round out our show here. Like I said, another great night, guys, with the interaction. You all being here and participating in this. Makes this so much fun for me, makes me want to keep doing it. So thank you so much. If you have not, smash the like button. If you have not, follow, subscribe here on YouTube, follow on Facebook. We probably passed 10,000 followers on Facebook in the middle of this stream. If not, we'll do it very soon. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us by being here. Those of you who are able to support us in other ways, like being part of the Conquer Club, donating, all that stuff. If you're interested, links in our YouTube for our link tree. And there should be some stuff on Facebook out there where you can just direct message us. We just thank you for your support of any kind and any kind. You can also go to Alumni Hall and support us through our link there. All different ways that you can get involved and be part of our little family within the Auburn family. Thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you a lot from campus. And next time we get together in our post-game show, Saturday, late afternoon, early evening, probably most likely. Till then, War Eagle and beat Cal.